Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Alright, people. Luis Ortiz stops Charles Martin in the 6th round. Alright, now I got my pick wrong for this fight. I picked Charles Martin to win. I thought that Luis Ortiz is the superior boxer, and you could see he had the better boxing ability. You could see that his schooling was quite good, his jab was on point. You know, he landed, especially in the second round, he landed a good little counter straight right, or left hand I should say, to Charles Martin. Charles Martin took that quite well. He was going to Martin's body, he was kind of mixing it up a bit, the head and body. Luis Ortiz, I felt, going into this fight, was the superior, better boxer. The issue for Ortiz is that he's listed as being 42 years old. Now, whether you believe that or not is irrelevant, because I don't. I suspect he's older than that. But nevertheless, 42 years old, regardless whether he is or not, is still old in terms of boxing years. So I thought to myself, he's had a round, barely a round, in the last 2 years since the Deontay Wilder fight, because that Flores fight was over very quickly. He's getting old. Well, he's already old, but he's even older now. Even though he's the better boxer going into this fight, surely he will have slowed down enough that it will make it easier for Martin, and surely with age and not being in the ring for, optimum amount of time, his punch resistance will probably be diminished as well. Now, Ortiz was down twice in this fight. He was down in the first round. Now, the first round was interesting because Martin actually touched down. It looked like Ortiz he did throw three right jabs, and Martin went down. But if you look back on the replay, the feet came together, and it legit was not a knockdown. The knockdown that Ortiz suffered in the first round, however, was a legit knockdown. Alright, it was a left hand from Martin, because both these guys are southpaws, that landed side of Luis Ortiz's head. Now, Ortiz kind of dipped down and moved into the shot, so it was a legit shot. Some people could say, oh, was it a rabbit punch? No, because Ortiz actually positioned his head in such a way that was where it was always going to land. So it was a legit knockdown, as Lennox Lewis said on commentary. They're the kind of shots that, when you get especially on the side of the head, where they just mess your equilibrium up, and Ortiz touched down. Now, he wasn't devastatingly hurt or anything like that. He was able to recover from the shot and have a good second round. But from the start of this fight, Ortiz was on the back foot. Alright, so he started the first round with a 10-8 round. He did come back on in the second round, and in my opinion, he won that round. He landed a good left hand on Charles Martin. You could see he was the superior boxer. And even in the rounds where Luis Ortiz was down, he was outlanding Charles Martin. You could see that, he was a lot more accurate. Martin, who'd been out of the ring for nearly 2 years himself. In fact, yeah, Martin would have been. Well, Ortiz, technically speaking, had a fight last year, but as I said, it was a real... If you want to call that a fight, the Alexander Flores fight, go ahead. But Martin was the last person who was in a competitive fight, most recent anyway, and that was on the Wilder Fury 2 undercard. Martin, to me, he was trained with Manny Robles. He was lighter than when you used to seeing him, but he just... It was weird. At times he did get through with some good shots, he did, but he just looked a bit like a fish out of water in this fight. That's the way I'd seen it. He just didn't look right at all in this fight. I don't say he didn't look right at all, but his timing definitely didn't seem as good as we have seen it in the past from Martin. And Martin's not an elite level heavyweight, nothing of the sort. He's okay. I think he's better than I think we originally gave him credit for, given the Anthony Joshua fight. But he's not like one of these guys who you're going to be saying, on his day, if the stars align, he could be beating these guys in the top 10. No, he might cause an upset or two, but he wouldn't, an upset as in, you wouldn't expect that he might just catch him or something like that. But he definitely didn't look right in this fight to me. But in the fourth round, he was able to land a stiff right jab on Luis Ortiz. That put him down for the second knockdown of the fight to Luis Ortiz. And Lennox Lewis said something interesting on commentary. The body knows what it wants to do. Or the mind, I should say, knows what it wants to do. The body can almost do it, but the legs can't. And that's what it looked like for Luis Ortiz. It looked like the legs just weren't there anymore. I wonder, would that jab, if it had been Luis Ortiz who fought Brian Jennings, would that jab have even so much as bothered Luis Ortiz? That's a question, because you got to wonder. Ortiz, 42, is old in itself, but how old is he actually? And when I was looking at Ortiz in this fight, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, do you know what? If even when he came to people's attention, which was in 2014, 2015, he was how old? In his late 30s. He would have been, 35-ish when he was fighting Brian Jennings, 35, 36. So even then, You got to wonder how old he was. But even then, you could see that there was a lot of talent in this fighter. He was well schooled. He hit hard. He was a good fighter, Luis Ortiz. He really was. So you kind of wonder to yourself, if that Luis Ortiz back then had it been in there with guys like Deontay Wilder, with guys like, well, Anthony Joshua wasn't a champion at the time, but if he'd been in there with guys like maybe even Klitschko, I don't think he would have beat Klitschko, but let's just say I think he would have given a lot of them a lot of trouble. This Ortiz now, I mean, he's definitely not as fast as he used to be. I reckon the body can't take the same amount of punishment. Definitely not that it would have maybe took about 5-6 years ago. But nevertheless, we go into the fifth round. Fifth round was actually a better round for Luis Ortiz. He landed again a couple of left hands on Charles Martin. He took some himself actually as well. But he was going to the body, and he was interesting. He was throwing the left hand to the body a good bit in this fight, Luis Ortiz. And I like that because you could see that left hand, it was giving Martin something to think about. The arms were coming down occasionally whenever the left hand was going in. And when he was getting close, he was letting rip some of them body shots. Into the sixth round, Luis Ortiz, now some people were saying that the issue came because Martin's hand got caught in the rope, like his glove got caught in the rope, which is one of the reasons why it was such a bad round for him. Well, that did happen, and it did compromise him from getting up. But the actual issue started from, I believe it was a left hand that Luis Ortiz landed. Now Martin went back up to the... Martin was very bizarre. It was almost like he was hurt, but then just kind of... I don't say didn't know what to do, but it was weird. I mean, his arm wasn't caught in the rope at this stage. He kind of was just in the corner and just kind of looked away. It was the strangest thing, and Ortiz landed a combination on him. I thought the referee was going to stop it then and there. Luis Ortiz kept firing the combinations, and then Martin went down. But as he went down is when the hand kind of got caught in the rope. It wasn't. Some people were saying, oh, it got caught in the rope, which is how Luis Ortiz was able to open up the combination on him. No, it wasn't. He was hurt before that, and it was bizarre. He just didn't seem to know what to do. It was almost like he was wanting to walk away, when Ortiz hit him. Or it was bizarre to me. But anyway, he was able to get back up. The referee realised when he was counting that, okay, he can't really get up properly because the arm was caught in the rope. So they freed the arm from the rope. He was able to carry on. He didn't, again, Luis Ortiz was able to land another left hand on him. Again, it stunned Martin. Luis Ortiz always had power. Some people say Luis Ortiz always had very good punching power. He didn't have the highlight reel knockouts, but I think Luis Ortiz definitely has very heavy hands. Definitely does. Was able to land another one on Charles Martin. Martin's legs still weren't quite right from the first knockdown, so when Ortiz was landing the combination, he was going up the head and body. Martin's legs are just giving enough at that stage, so he kind of fumbled down. But I think that was a result of the first knockdown, the first barrage of punches that Luis Ortiz threw. Martin got back up to his feet, nose was bloody, referee waved it off. To be honest with you, I'd say that was a legit stoppage. As in, like, I didn't have any issue with it because Martin seemed away with the fairies at that stage, and it didn't look like he was ever going to be able to get through this round. The one thing I would say is that Ortiz at this age now, you got to wonder about his stamina. So had Martin been able to get through that round, just saying in an alternate reality, did the fight have gone different? If Martin had been able to get through that round, would he have had more success? Would Luis Ortiz have sold out? Would he have just banked on the knockout? If he couldn't have got it in that sixth round, would he be absolutely spent in the seventh round? Because we've seen that before from Luis Ortiz. He almost, in the first Deontay Wilder fight, in the 7th and the 8th round, he almost sold out in those rounds, really trying to get Deontay Wilder out of there, and when he couldn't, that was kind of it. Deontay Wilder was able to recoup, get back into it, helped by the fact that he got extra time from the 7th to the 8th round, has to be said, but nevertheless he was able to get Luis Ortiz out, who had very little after that. So Luis Ortiz, he stays on. I mean, this really was a loser leaves town. Martin, I don't think that. I think at that stage there, I think that the beating the likes of Gerald Washington and guys like that is about as good as it's going to get. Maybe a rematch with Kalnacki. I probably favour Martin at this stage in a rematch with Kalnacki, but that's really it for him, I think, in terms of going and having a run at the top level. This was an IBF eliminator. I'm not sure. No, it wasn't a final eliminator, obviously. So technically speaking, would that mean that Ortiz would be mandated to fight Hrgovic next? If it was, because it said it was an IBF eliminator. Hrgovic, I know they've been trying to get him an eliminator. Would he be then mandated to fight Hrgovic, Ortiz, if this was for an IBF eliminator? That'd be interesting. I favour Hrgovic so strongly in that fight. I think Hrgovic would stop Luis Ortiz. Ortiz will get one more payday off the back of this, but let's not beat around the bush here. I mean, he is... I think Luis Ortiz is there for the taking. For any kind of top level heavyweight, he's there for the taking. Or even someone like I was going to say Joe Joyce, but Joe Joyce is, in my opinion, a top level heavyweight. someone like a Hrgovic, take care of him, in my opinion. So, yeah, there's that. I mean, even Hellenius at this stage, I'd give him a very good chance over Luis Ortiz. Just based on the punching power of Hellenius. I mean, the skill set, Luis Ortiz is better skilled. But even just the punching power of Hellenius would cause Luis Ortiz trouble. I think Ortiz punch resistance is just gone at this stage. So there's that. I mean, this was a pay-per-view card. Now, I didn't see the Frank Sanchez or the Gerald Washington fight, but from what I saw from the Victor Faust fight, it was a fun little card. That's what happens when you put heavyweights on. You'll always get some entertaining fights. You'll always get a bit of drama. I do wonder about this being on pay-per-view because the arena it was in didn't look full. Right, it didn't. So I wonder how many buys this is going to do. I know it was significantly cheaper than your standard pay-per-view in the US. I think this was only about 20 something, $29.99 or something like that. So it was significantly cheaper. But still, I mean, I wouldn't imagine this fight did very good buys. It was on Fox as opposed to Showtime. I just prefer Showtime. Nothing against the guys at Fox, but the commentary team on Fox just doesn't do it for me. Lennox Lewis has never really... He's alright. Joe Goosen made a couple of howlers. He called Charles Martin Frank Martin at one stage. I just prefer the Showtime team. But, nevertheless, we got what we got. So, yeah, I think they should... I think they missed a trick not putting this on standard Fox. I think it would have done better, but... Look, we'll see what the pay-per-view buys are like. We'll see what Ortiz does next. I'll talk about more of this on Review of the Week tomorrow. But for now, I'll leave you with that. I hope you liked this video. If you did, if you could, smash the like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. For now, lads and lassies, I'll talk to you. Peace.